Där. Hello and welcome to the Spoilercast. The procession can now begin. Sorry, I just wanted to see if I get a reaction out of you, Rebecca, and out of you, the audience. Welcome to the Spoilercast. My name is Tobias, and with me as always is my sister and trusted co-host, Rebecca.
Hello.
And today we're finally going to talk about one of last year's biggest hype movies. One of the biggest hype movies in the last few years, I think. We unfortunately weren't able to watch it until
this year,
so we had to wait a little bit. But we're finally going to talk about Nosferatu. And we're going to, discuss, review, analyze, and ultimately reach a conclusion to whether or not it's actually any good. Because, whatever. I don't want to say too much, but I might have a bit of a contrarian opinion on this movie. Anyway, that's just me. So we all know the movie. It's Nosferatu. It's the remake, or I guess reimagining, of the 1922 F.W. Murnau, Friedrich Wilhelm Murnau horror classic. This time written and directed by Robert Eggers, starring Lily Rose Depp. What's his name?
Nicholas Hoult.
Right. Nicholas Hoult.
And Bill Skarsgård.
And I would say, dare I say, my
star of the show.
my favorite, Kick-Ass. What's his name?
Aaron Taylor Johnson. Kick-Ass. That's still how you.
He's always going to be Kick-Ass. I'm sorry. He's always going to be Kick-Ass.
And a bunch of other cool names.
A bunch of other people. Willem Dafoe, obviously. Ralph Ineson, some other people.
Yes.
Yeah. And like we said, I think it's worth discussing. First of all, because it's the next Robert Eggers movie. We just want to talk about it. But also because as well received as it was, I don't know if I agree really.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. Because initially we were very hyped. I mean, this was the original 1922 Nosferatu was one of my introductions to horror movies when I was 11, 12, somewhere around there.
Too young.
It's a silent film, but yeah. I discussed this in another video when me and the friend who showed it to me, we were literally so scared that we hid under the covers of his bed because we were watching it in his room, and it was the scene the one everyone talks about when he attacks Hutter the first time.
Yeah.
It is truly one of the creepiest scenes in cinema history. So I mean, ever since then, Nosferatu has been one of my favorite horror movies of all time, one of my favorite movies of all time. So then having Robert Eggers,
one of your favorite directors of all time,
favorite directors of all time. Yeah, I've been a fan since literally since The Witch came out. Yeah. We saw it. Monsters of Film Festival in Stockholm. Yeah.
Yes, that viewing was
insane.
So good.
So having him adapt my favorite horror movie, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Yeah, you can say I was pretty fucking hyped.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, first of all, I still have this weird obsession with vampires, so obviously.
Yeah.
Second of all, I heard straight away that he was going to take a lot of inspiration from Bram Stoker's version as well.
Which makes sense, since Nosferatu it's a rip-off of Dracula.
Yeah. But it's he was going to take more of those elements, probably, and I was like, ooh. Seeing Robert Eggers in his style doing Bram Stoker's Dracula, basically.
Proper with the gothic horror.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the trailer dropped. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that was a good trailer.
Looks spectacular.
Yeah. And the way
I was excited. Straight away.
Yeah.
Not even cautiously like I usually am. I was like, no. This is going to be good.
Me neither. There was right before we watched it, I was like, oh no, what if it's not good actually? What if the, the magic is gone now? Yeah. He had his 3 great movies and now it's just fuck.
The hype got human
after
you.
All. Yeah, a little bit. He can fail. And I guess let's quickly go through the plot, because honestly, plot-wise, there's not a lot going on.
No,
It's not a super involving plot. And if you know Dracula,
it is a story
you know
you've heard before as well. Because if you haven't seen Bram Stoker's Dracula or read the book, or if you haven't seen the original Nosferatu, then sure, you know nothing. But most people have, in some capacity, seen or heard that story.
Yes, and this
it's been adapted so many times.
That is this story, almost beat for beat. Yeah. It copies either Nosferatu or Dracula.
Yeah.
Young estate agent Hutter, but is he called Hutter in this one? No, they
Thomas Hutter.
All right, he's Hutter. Yeah, it's in all right. It's in Werner Herzog's version where they changed the names to the Dracula names, but he still called the movie Nosferatu for some reason.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hutter leaves his newly wedded wife, Ellen.
Yes.
To go to the Carpathian Mountains to talk to a certain Count Orlok and sell him a house. I don't remember what they call him in this movie, but yeah. He gets sent there by...
The house?
Yeah, it has a name. It's an estate.
Oh. I don't remember.
Turns out, Count Orlok is a fucking vampire. And, when he sees Hutter... he sees Hutter's wife in a picture. He becomes instantly smitten. So he travels to Visburg.
Some German town.
Visburg is the fictional city where they go, and he basically brings the plague with him.
Yeah.
And then Ellen has to she has to make the ultimate sacrifice to save Hutter, who is now in the grasp of Nosferatu.
Yeah.
That's basically the plot. You have a little side plot with some friends of Hutter, the ship manager, the Harding, and the crazy doctor. What's his name? Willem Dafoe.
Albin
Eberhard
von Franz.
Von Franz, who tried to defeat the Nosferatu.
Evil.
The vampire. Nosferatu, as he calls him.
Yeah.
That's basically the plot.
Yeah.
And fill in any details you know about Dracula in between there. That's it.
Basically, there's some relationships. There's some, I guess, sort of a triangle there between Ellen, Thomas, and Count Orlok a little bit.
Yes, and that's where the movie, in a way, differs from the original Nosferatu.
And takes more of the Dracula.
Yes.
route.
Now, I haven't read Dracula since I was a kid. I don't know why I read Dracula when I was like 8, but I did. So I don't remember barely anything about that part of the book.
I don't remember if I ever read the book.
Oh, okay. But in the original...
I have seen the movie countless times, though.
Yes. The Coppola movie.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Love that movie.
Yes, it's an amazing movie. Because in the original Nosferatu, at least, Orlok just wants a house. He wants to live somewhere where there's more people he can eat.
Yeah.
Because
he's emptied the Carpathians.
Yeah, the local people stay away from him, so he has no more victims basically. So he wants a new house.
Prey.
Yeah, and it's during the procession, as they call it in this movie.
Yeah.
That he finds out about Hutter's wife, and he is instantly smitten, and has, as he says in that movie, she has a great neck. I think he mentioned that in this as well.
I think so.
Yeah. So that's basically why he just eats Hutter and goes to Visburg to feast, but also to have the ultimate meal, which is Ellen.
Keep her. Yeah. Or have her.
Yeah. And there's in Egger's version, Ellen has like some sort of supernatural ability to contact people?
I skimmed through the movie a little bit the other day just to like refresh my memory.
Yeah.
They've had an encounter before when she was like 14.
Yeah, that's what the movie starts with. It's her they explain it kind of later when she talks to von Franz, whatever his name is, Willem Dafoe, that she suffered from like melancholy, and she was mentally unwell.
Yeah.
So she, at one point, when she was about ready to give up, basically, she called out to anyone. Basically, God, the devil, anyone
who would listen, and it turns out that Orlok
somehow, Orlok heard her. So
he was in town, I guess.
No, he's not there. That's the thing.
But she says it as if they've met before.
They've met, yes, in the.
I guess in the mind.
Because
she does have some sort of
stage.
issue. She has seizures and stuff before she's diagnosed with melancholy. But yeah, they've somehow made a telekinetic connection. Yeah, I guess.
or I guess because this is a romantic, it's a gothic story.
A spiritual. I suppose.
It's spiritual, or they made an emotional connection.
Yeah,
but that's what she kind of thinks, because she's both like. When she talks about the dreams she has about him, she's both like, it's I've never been so happy, even though all around me everyone is dead and all I have is this this black like thing.
It's one of those like you're so scared it almost gets exciting.
I think what really scares her is that she is that happy even though everyone is dead around her, and she's basically a slave.
Which I guess is the melancholy.
Yeah.
Like to justify that. I don't know. I saw it as if he was actually there and like fed on her once, and then they made like a bond or something.
But that doesn't make sense, because the scene we see when she's attacked by him, they quickly cut to her like strangling herself, as if she's not.
That is true.
As if he's not there.
That is true. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure.
Anyway, then by Providence, as Herr Knock keeps calling it.
Yeah.
They never really explain more than, it's Providence that you would come to work for me. You who is betrothed or married to the woman that Orlok wants. You work for me now, me who is a slave to Orlok, so I can send you there to make the connection. They explain it as Providence, and I was like, okay. Yeah. You gotta give us a little more there. I know I'm nitpicking, but it's just like, you can't just say Providence. What is the Providence there? Providence is happenstance, basically. Like,
yeah, I have to like actually.
It's
Google
basically
that. Like, what does it mean
in Swedish? It's that's nyck.
Yeah, the protective care of God or nature as a spiritual power.
No, well, it's Providence as in it's a happy accident.
Oh, okay.
There is a version of the word that is where you can use it as that. I'm pretty sure.
Timely preparation for future eventualities.
Yeah, care preparation in advance, foresight.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, divine direction.
I guess Robert Eggers kind of played on the Bram Stoker version,
but even in that one, Mina
like. Going as it, making it as if
know about Dracula
Ellen...
before. No, Mina's her friend. No. What's the name of the girl in Dracula?
Oh God. Yeah.
I know one of them is called Mina. I don't know if that's the
Isn't
main
it
girl,
her?
or if it's her friend who's called Mina. No, that is Mina. Yeah. Winona Ryder plays Mina.
Yeah. But in that one, it's he falls in love with Mina because she looks like his late wife.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's something similar here that they don't really show you, that Nosferatu is, like, looks at her and goes, "Ooh, I know you." Yeah, and it's more than just that they met when she was younger, or met.
Once again, von Franz explains it as, he is that the vampire is basically like a demon. So he grasps onto like a weak soul, and she was at her weakest when she asked for anyone to hear her.
Yes.
So I guess that's why, but I don't know.
That is, I'll give you that. That is a bit of a plot hole.
It's a bit of a not specific, not really a plot hole. It's more like a
more like a nitpick, I guess.
It's so vague. Yeah. Like, I'm fine with him, like, being mysterious. But then what is it? So he waits.
Why talk about it so much if not having if you're not gonna have a proper explanation?
Yeah, he makes this connection to her, then does nothing with it for 5 years or whatever. I think they mentioned
something
5
like that.
years like that. And until she marries Hutter. And what if Hutter didn't get to work for Nook? What if he never found? How did he find Nook? That's the Providence part. And I was like, come on, you gotta give us something. Yeah. Give us something.
It's like, but it's fate. Yes,
but give us something more than just. It's literally a word, Providence. It's like something more. It must be something more.
Moving on.
Sorry, moving on. I suppose. Yeah. That is my first
gripe.
My first gripe. One of my gripes. Where are we? Other than that, though, the plot is not a problem for me.
No,
because he arrives in Visburg and basically brings what they think is a plague with him because there's rats on the ship, but it's him. Yeah. It's him eating everyone. Yeah. And I like that. That's also
that was a nice little detail.
Yeah, and that's a big detail in the 1922 version as well. That it's like a meditation on life and death, and the plague was obviously death, the Black Death. Yeah. So I like that part, which is not really a part of Dracula. There's no element of oh my god, more people are dying in London now that Dracula is here. Or whatever. That's not really.
No, it's very contained.
Very
to that
focused
group
on
of friends.
Exactly. So I like that part, but that was obviously the Nosferatu influence.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, that I like that. I like that the other characters get something to do in the movie. Like in the original Nosferatu, it's literally only Ellen, kind of Hutter, and Nosferatu has anything to do. Everyone else is just oh, that's strange. Walking
and just
around,
standing in the background, basically.
Oh no, yeah. Here, Von Franz. He has
a bit of an arc almost.
Yeah, actively takes part in helping Ellen kind of come to the conclusion that she has to make the ultimate sacrifice. But also that Harding kind of representing the everyman person in this. Because obviously we see a bunch of people going crazy because they've been bitten by Nosferatu, the scene in the hospital and everything. But we don't really get to know any character except for him and his family, and I love that part of it.
Yes.
Also that it's what his fate is. What would happen if Ellen just gave up instead of trying to actually fight for her love. So I like that part, and I think Aaron Taylor Johnson
knocked it out of the park.
So underappreciated performance in this movie. Favorite performance of mine, definitely.
Oh yeah. It's also maybe I haven't seen him in a while, so.
I mean, this and Kraven the Hunter is his greatest performances. I'm kidding.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm kidding. I haven't even seen Kraven. I'm kidding.
Hold up.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Speaking, however, because that's I don't want to give away the ending. We'll talk more about the ending when we talk about the verdict. Yeah. But this is a spoiler cast, but we'll wait with the spoilers. So let's speak a little bit more about the themes of death and life and all that. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I got a notification from IMDb.
Oh, okay.
What's happening?
So obviously, in the original movie, the big theme is like we said, death. That's the meditation. What is death? And what is it juxtaposed against life? Can one be without the other? Not really. This one has that pretty strongly as well.
Yes.
In the same way. But then it also has that more romantic angle from Dracula.
Yes.
Which I don't know how.
You know what the theme I saw in it was?
No.
I saw the theme of mental health and like choosing to live instead of ending it when you struggle with mental health. Like her melancholy is is represented within like her choice of either killing herself or living and choosing life and being happy, much like people with depression and stuff.
Yeah, but you know,
in today's society,
the ending though.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a strange ending for that, but that's what the struggle seemed to be. Partly.
I mean, yeah, sure, mental health is an underlying current thing, but I think the focus is more. That's what I like about Robert Eggers as a director. He has very. We've talked about this before. We did an episode on The Northman, right? Because it came out in 2021.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. He has very.
I think we even did one on The Witch at one point.
We might have done that, yeah, as a retro thing. He very, very honestly never really works any like modern sensibilities into his movies. Like if his movie takes place in the 1800s, it focuses on the 1800s. I think an example I've brought up before is how the Northman, the Northman, when he went into it, he has said himself he's like agnostic. He's not a believer. He's not a Christian. He's not a religious person. But when he wrote the Northman, the Acer faith, Asatron, that was like that wasn't like nobody questioned it. Everyone was religious. It wasn't like well, I don't really think that's true. No, everyone just it was the norm.
Yeah,
everyone believed. To be faithful. Yeah, so him working in like slightly like fantastical elements into the Northman, the fact that Amleth gets carried away by a Valkyrie in the end, or the fact that he fights a Draugr and stuff like that. Like those are not like he doesn't question the logic behind it because it makes sense from a Vikings or a person from that time's perspective.
Yeah, because that's what the norm was for them.
Yeah, and he doesn't try to like
believed in that.
And the fact that like take slaves and they raid villages. Yeah, obviously terrible, but he's not trying to like paint it as like some sort of parable to modern like colonialism or racism or whatever. It's just that's what happened, so that's what I'm showing you.
Yes.
You can pit that against another movie that came out around the same time, I think, as The Northman, The Green Knight. Another A24 movie, but that's not an A24 movie. Where it told, I mean, it literally says in the beginning of the movie, like, this is a classic Arthurian romance that they're telling us.
Yes.
But it is more of a, instead of just retelling then an Arthurian, classic tale of chivalrous romance is what it's called. Chivalry and, knights fighting dragons and stuff, and kind of putting the morals of the time into the story, it becomes like a parable of our time.
Yeah.
Like the fact that King Arthur when the who is it? Is it Gawain? Yeah, Gawain. When Gawain rides to meet the Green Knight, you ride past this clearing where the king's men are just deforesting the entire like continent because of and they're pushing the what are they called? Celts? Whatever. The
heathens.
The indigenous population. They're like pushing them out. That's why the witch's curse is put upon Arthur. It's an obvious like nod to like white man's exploitation of indigenous people. It's just like, what is that doing in an Arthurian legend? Why? You can tell. I don't dislike those kind of stories. They make sense and they're good, but don't put them into like an old knight's tale. It doesn't make sense.
It's the wrong setting.
Yeah, it would be like, even though you can kind of read that into Nosferatu, it would be like if Nosferatu was actually about sexual abuse. It's like, no, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. It's not. That's not what it's about. Yeah, and I like that it never becomes like you could easily make it about that though. That it's about a toxic relationship. Count Orlok is being very toxic towards Ellen.
Yes,
and she kind of goes along with it because she's been manipulated. Yeah,
gaslighted.
Gaslit. She's been groomed. He's groomed her. Yeah.
The more you say it, the more I'm going like, I mean, kinda.
You can read that into it, and I'm sure that was in the back of his head, but it's not what it's about. And that's what makes it more interesting and complex, the way he makes the movie.
Yes.
And you can definitely read that stuff into it, but it's not what it's about. And I also like that he has very old-timey sensibilities. The fact that ultimately the movie on a surface level is about love in various ways.
Yes.
And the sacrifices we make for those we love.
Yeah.
The spoilers. Fuck it. From here on out, because we're talking about themes, we're going to get into more stuff. We're going to have to do spoilers from here on out. You know the story anyway.
If you don't...
Sorry. Yeah. The original story is over 100 years old at this point.
Exactly.
Ellen decides to make the ultimate sacrifice in letting Nosferatu, or letting Orlok, get her. Because if she does, the prophecy is that he will be so entranced by her beauty and her the flavor of her blood. It's I
was about to say, the taste of her.
Yeah, because she's untainted, which she's not really. She's not a virgin anymore. No. But whatever. That he won't hear the first crow of the cock. So he will be
right. So he won't know. Yeah,
he won't know when the sun rises. He will be caught in the sunrise. Which is also, that's in the original story. Is that how Dracula ends? It's not, right? Sort of, but not really.
I think he is hit by sun rays, but he gets snaked as well.
Yeah, exactly. Mina doesn't have to die. Yeah, exactly. But she makes a sacrifice.
She's
bait.
She uses herself as a bait, I guess, but she never dies.
Yeah. And in the end, she gives up her life for Hutter, the man she loves. And I'm just like, wow, feminists must hate this movie. She gives her life for a man. I'm not saying,
No, but I just like, I know what you mean, and
when did we see that last?
No,
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a very old-timey thing to have.
It is also inherently very feminist to choose to sacrifice yourself for the one you love, no matter who that person is. So if feminists don't like it, they're not real feminists. I
guess, yeah.
That's my issue with feminism. But
sacrificing yourself for the one you love, obviously, and emancipating
She's
yourself.
Taking her life in her hands,
definitely.
And choosing for herself.
Which I think she literally says that. I choose.
Yes.
Yeah. But the problem is she's doing it for a man.
Yeah, but the feminists that say that are dumb and not actual feminists. So, do you want to have that conversation, or should we skip that?
No. I'm just saying.
I can go on.
And I also like the fact that it would be such an easy kind of, I don't know,
cop-out?
Progressive cop-out to make Hutter more of, not the villain, but like a bad guy, so to speak. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he is 100% not a bad guy in this.
Yeah, to make her more like powerful is that she rejects both him and Nosferatu in the end. But no, she, like, to her dying breath loves Hutter. Even after you have the scene where it's just like, it was a little weird. It's the only scene that was just like, kind of, what is actually going on? When she's just flipping out.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, because he kind of, I don't know if she's trying to goad him into doing it. It's hard to tell because I think she's herself is struggling with her feelings for Nosferatu. Because she's like, oh, he's much better than you. At the same time as she's pleading for Hutter's love, it's so weird.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if she is spoiled. I mean, like I think even though they're married, I don't think they consummated the marriage yet.
In that scene they do.
Which is why she's still pure.
In that scene they do.
Yeah, that's true.
He says, well, I'll show you then, and very, very aggressively makes love to his wife. But I think that's
because she wants to not be pure anymore because she feels that maybe Orlok won't want me anymore then.
Yeah.
And it's her way of, like, guarding herself, I guess.
And I think it also plays a little bit on her, like, being possessed, going back to Nosferatu being a demon. That she's, because, you know, she almost uses, like, two voices in that scene.
Yes.
Literally.
She does, yes.
So it's Nosferatu mocking Hutter and Ellen pleading to Hutter to, like, don't give up on me, basically.
Yeah.
But then that scene, like, in any other movie, that would be, like, the big scene where, like, oh, no, he did it. He exercised sexual, dominance over a woman. But here it's actually somehow
he's not really
a nice
dominant
thing
in that scene either.
It's very aggressive.
Yes, but he more gives in than dominates her.
Yeah. And when she starts like demon spazzing, he's like, "Whoa!" and pulls out.
Exactly. So I mean,
it's the thing is, in a modern movie, it's so unheard of to see a scene like that and not have being painted as something bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I appreciated that, even though it was like a little bit
kind of weird.
A little weird. But that's
despite being adult, it's also always awkward watching that kind of stuff in theaters or with other people.
Yes, it is.
I don't know why that never goes away, I guess.
No, but that's part of what I like about Robert Eggers' style, that he doesn't shy away from that. Like,
and I mean, it wasn't vulgar in any way.
No.
It was artistic. Still,
yeah, sure. And I don't mean that. I mean the values of the movie, if you will. Like,
sure, yeah.
That it's not painting it as something bad. It's something, more complex than just saying it's bad or good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I like about it.
Yes.
Other than that, though, the story works for the most part, except for the Providence thing, and I like, and the themes work. I like all that. What I don't really like is the pacing. The movie is just over 2 hours long, so it's not his longest movie, or is it just a little bit longer than The Northman? Because I think The Northman was over 2 hours as well.
The Northman is
2 hours and 17. So
2:17.
This is technically 5 minutes shorter. But I gotta say, the middle act of this, like when Hutter is in the mountains with Orlok, it slows down considerably. And
I think
I mean, that's the part in the original story that they kind of like gloss over. Like, it's like in 5 minutes, if even.
Yeah, and in Bram Stoker's version, they have like a voiceover with him reading his letters to Mina.
Yeah.
Going like, oh, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. And you only see the night scenes where the wives kind of show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the wolves.
Yeah.
And we do have a couple of those things here.
Yeah, but I feel like they... Because, I mean, but it's hard to tell how much time has passed and if it makes sense for time to pass, even. It's like it's all happening at once and then nothing. I don't know if they mention it, but it feels like there's been like weeks, because they've been...
But that's the thing, they don't really mention it.
The trip was supposed to take 6 weeks, I think. So there and back again. I think they mentioned that somewhere. But
then, he's late to get to the actual castle because he loses his horse.
Yeah. But still, they have been expecting him. That's why she's sitting at the beach waiting for him.
That's true.
So it's obviously been a while before he comes back.
And I mean, he gets sick, so he stays longer, I think.
Yeah. But that whole part of the movie is really only to kind of introduce the fact that Nosferatu, even though we kind of know it already, Nosferatu is a vampire, and he is the bad guy, which is when Hutter discovers him in his crypt, or his coffin.
The one jump scare that got to me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. And then him escaping. That is it's the least important part of the story. So it feels like they're spending a little too much time on it, and it does drag in the middle, I think.
Yes, no, I agree.
And that was the parts where I was kind of like, which is my thing. When I get bored, I don't have to be tired. I just kind of doze off.
Yeah,
I've noticed with movies.
I don't think I had that issue though. It didn't get that boring for me.
No, but for me, the first time I watched it, the second time I was like, I'm going to be awake. So no one could tell me like, oh well, you didn't watch the whole thing. That's why I don't like it.
Yeah, we've had that before.
But that's the big problem with that. I would say, like, story wise.
In a sense, I think it makes sense as well that it is a bit slower in the middle, because nothing really happens. He's just there and he can't get out.
But then gloss over that part.
Yeah, I know. They could have shortened it.
They really only need the
but maybe
scene.
he wanted us to get to that feeling ourselves. He wanted us to kind of go, oh, well, what do we do now?
That is true, because
what's going to happen?
the movie is almost like, what's it called?
Almost real time.
No, not real time. When you're hypnotized, it's almost like hypnotizing. Yeah. Like it's. I keep wanting to say, what's the word? Not meditative.
You know it in Swedish.
It's when you're not transformative.
In a trance?
Yeah, you're in a trance. Not transformative. You're in a trance. You get kind of lulled into a trance. It's sort of like Elenis by Orlok or by Nosferatu. So in that way, sure, yeah. The scenes in the forest when the driverless horse and carriage comes up and all that. And all that.
And him following the people out into the woods, not knowing if it's a dream or real, and then the muddy boots. But was it a dream or real?
Yeah.
I think
there
was a point to it.
Sure, yeah. But it's still
not that I like it.
No.
I still don't like having those moments in a movie, because sure, you can have that sense, you can have that feeling without actually making us sit there and go, okay, so now what? Okay, move on, please.
And I mean, you could have, even if you don't like add anything else or just cut things out of this, was to give you that feeling. Starting with that very strange, completely quiet scene in the forest, with him getting into I love that part. And then him, like, never actually seeing Orlok. I loved that. We only heard his voice. But then obviously he shows up. But like making Orlok almost into, like, once again, speaking of me as a demon, as something non-corporeal, he's like a specter, a ghost almost.
Just a shadow.
Just a shadow, yeah. He is evil personified. He is the plague.
Which works because his shadow plays a big role later in the film.
Yeah. His shadow literally falls over Visburg, yeah.
Yeah, and literally finds Ellen.
Yeah.
Grasps her.
Oh,
almost.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the same scene. Yeah, you're right. That, however, then gets ruined a little bit by, I'm going to say, Bill Skarsgård's performance. Because I'm not the biggest fan of his interpretation of Nosferatu. I know everybody loves him. He's like become like a thirst thing on TikTok. Yeah, people are like, ooh, it's.
Wait, they want to do it with Count Orlok?
Yes. Even though he's literally like he's not even like charming evil. He's just evil.
He's like a walking corpse who wants to eat people.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, not even like the other, vampires usually have this like sexual like thing to them. There's nothing of that. No. He's not there. If he feasts on you, it's not gonna be the that you see in like Twilight and shit.
It's like you get AIDS.
Yeah, and
you get the plague.
Painfully die.
Yeah.
Literally. So no, I wouldn't say that he does a bad job.
No, he is good. It's not his portrayal. It's not his acting. It is the portrayal of the Count, Orlok, Nosferatu, whatever you want to call him.
So you don't like that version of Nosferatu?
No.
Oh.
And also I want to say, I kind of got, I mean, obviously I was hyped for the whole thing. I was hyped to see Bill Skarsgård because he's a good actor.
Sure.
See him play Orlok would be cool. But then there was all this hype around the voice. I think that was the first big thing for me. My friend Martin. Yeah. Kind of overhyped. Yeah. kind of overhyped his voice for me, because that was like a big thing. People kept talking about the voice. The voice was like a big. They never showed his.
Yeah.
They never showed off his voice in the trailers, except for like some like leaked clip or something like that.
Yeah,
they made a big thing
like,
about his voice.
In every single interview, they always talked about, oh, how did you make that voice? How did you get to that voice? And he's like, oh, well, I worked with
like an opera singer or a voice coach. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
To like lower my voice an octave and like yada yada.
And then when you hear it, it's
just a dark voice.
Yeah, I'm not saying my version is perfect or anything, but it's just this. He is talking like this, very dark and monotone.
Sure, there's a depth to it that maybe most people can't do.
Yeah. But all you have to do is find the growl and lower your voice.
Yeah, and then you can just edit that.
Yeah.
If you want, like, add some depth to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be some sort of fantastical transformation.
No. And that's maybe my big problem isn't that, his performance or the portrayal or anything was bad. It was just not what I expected.
Because it got overhyped for you, yeah.
No, not just that, because if you compare it to the original, if you compare it to Max Schreck's portrayal, he is the original Nosferatu he's long, he's lean, he almost never moves, he's very, very still.
Isn't he like always hunched over?
Yeah, always hunched over. He's like deathly pale and all that. He very much resembles a dead person.
Yes, he is a walking corpse, literally.
In my mind,
even in like his burial outfit, basically.
Yeah, in a black shroud. His voice in my head when I saw that movie all the time, so was always like. It wasn't a booming voice. It wasn't not quite a whisper. It was almost like a ratty voice. Like he was talking like this almost. And it's kind of funny because just like a year or two after I saw that, or in the same time almost, they released a movie called Shadow of the Vampire, which was a partially dramatized like behind the scenes thing about the movie. I mean, the whole movie, it's a movie, but they added in some of the like folklore around the movie, that Max Schreck was an actual vampire and stuff like that. They made that into actual fact, so to speak, in the movie.
Yeah. I've seen it. I know.
Where Willem Dafoe, Dr. Von Franz, he plays Max Schreck. He plays the vampire in Shadow of the Vampire. And his voice, he was talking like this the entire film. I was like, yes, exactly! Yeah. That's what Nosferatu sounds like. And then
you had a certain image painted of what Nosferatu or Count Orlok should be. Yeah. Same as I had, honestly. I leaned more towards the Bram Stoker way, of course.
Yeah.
So I expected him to kind of, like in Coppola's Dracula,
where he's soft-spoken, but when he...
Yeah, soft-spoken, like become a man of the town kind of thing, to blend in more.
Yeah.
When he gets to I was about to say to Europe, but that's not how you say
London.
it. To the fake town, to London in that case.
Yeah.
I expected that here as well a little bit, but like when you see Orlok in his own castle here, he's very stuck in time.
Yeah. Yes.
With the furs and all that, he is frozen in whenever he got turned.
Yeah,
like the 1800s or something.
I want to say that too, because there is a third a third performance by Klaus Kinski in Werner Herzog's version from the 70s, where where he once again he has the black shroud thing, the black coat. He is deathly pale. He's very tall and lanky, and he also plays. He almost does it like it's almost like a death rattle. He talks like this the entire movie. It's super weird.
Which kind of makes sense, because if you're a walking corpse who hasn't quenched your thirst in a while properly, which he hasn't, which is why he's moving, you would be kind of dried out.
Yeah.
Which is what he is in Coppola's as well before he moves.
Yes. And
he's old and dry.
Talking like this. Yeah. It's that.
And he is wearing like weird clothes that fit for the location.
Yeah.
But then, when he gets to London, he changed it up. He matches the vibes.
and here is where Robert Eggers' sense of style and his like commitment to realism, so to speak, doesn't really work.
No, it took over a little bit.
Because in his all his earlier movies, they've all been like kind of folk tale-y, but they've all been quote unquote like real. The Witch is about a real family in the real New World, America. But he adds that folk that belief about witches into it. It's magical. He works a lot in magical realism, so to speak. Yeah. Same thing with The Lighthouse. It's a story about two real lighthouse watchers being stuck on the island and slowly going insane. That one is a little more like, is it real or is it not? But still.
But that plays more on like the dream thing, like mental issues.
Yes. And then Northman, obviously, it's literally a real story as far as we know. It's based on the Poetic Edda, whatever it's called. Yeah. Which we know is basically them retelling true stories, but they embellish them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's all real, but he adds that
flourish.
The religious flourish, the fear of witches, the Valkyries and the gods and everything, all that stuff.
Yeah.
This is a fictional story. Completely fictional.
Yes.
Obviously, Dracula was inspired by Vlad Tepes,
partially, yes.
The Hungarian warlord or whatever
Hungarian.
He was.
Yeah.
But it was just because he was known as Vlad Dracul, the dragon, because he was very vicious on the battlefield. All the impaling and literally not drinking the blood, but eating his meals, basically being rained upon by his enemy's blood, because he was sitting on the field with all the bodies. That was the inspiration for vampires. Was all we're thinking about. Dracula specifically as a vampire.
Yes. And there are other inspirations to actual vampires, but vampires. That is the main.
I mean, vampires has existed since like the Sumerian times, like 30,000 years ago.
They're mentioned in the Bible.
Yes, exactly. Either way. So this is a completely fictional story. He's not really telling a real story this time.
No.
So partially then that I think his forte is telling real stories, and just his obsession with being accurate makes more sense. Here, you don't have to be accurate, but instead he goes for the accurate look with Orlok. Orlok is obviously like some old Carpathian lord that died or became a vampire, whatever, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So he still wears the kind of royal style of clothing, the very ornamental, the furs and all that. And he has a very booming voice because he was the Lord. You are to call me Lord. That's very important to him and all that. But and it makes sense that if a lord died and became a vampire, that he in reality would keep being that. If we somehow make this a real story.
Yes. Problem
is then that I don't remember exactly how it is in Bram Stoker's Dracula, but in the original Nosferatu, in Coppola's Dracula, in Herzog's Nosferatu, while he's a real character, more represents he's more of a representation of something, usually death, the plague, which he is here as well. But it clashes then, because instead of being like this like creature out of time, he dresses in a way no one else dresses. He looks like no one else looks. He looks like a monster. Mm-hmm. Instead of here, he has like a comb over and a mustache, because that's how Carpathian lords looked like in the 1200s. It's like, but he wouldn't look like that because he's not a Carpathian lord anymore. He is the specter of death. He should have like a black cloak. He should have pointy teeth. He should have piercing eyes. He should be more demonic. More demonic, yeah. I mean, they literally play
ethereal and demonic.
They play up the demonic part. I don't know why he has to stick to realism when portraying such a fantastical character.
Question in defense of Mr. Eggers here. Is Orlok ever shown to the other people physically? Until not even then. Does anyone else actually see him in his human form, except for Thomas in the castle.
Yeah.
And Ellen once he gets to, what was it, Visberg?
Visberg, yeah. Yes. In the end, they all see his, once again, dead body on top of her.
True, but he's dead by then.
Sure.
Other than that, whenever he is in Visberg, we mainly, and everyone else, feels his presence and only sees him as a shadow or like a shadow over the town. He is, what's the word I'm looking for? Like prefaced by the rats running away, but we never actually see him coming.
Sure.
So I understand, because he would never have to actually show himself to most people, so he wouldn't have to adapt to look like them.
No, I'm not saying he has to look like, he shouldn't look like them. I say he looks too normal.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He should stick out. He should have the pale, deathly pale white skin. He should have the ratty face. He should
almost look more like he does in his grave.
Yeah.
And then just put on, like, you can't be naked,
because,
obviously.
Yeah,
you could, but
Dracula tries to fit in when he's around people. Orlok is never around people, so why does he? Why is it so important to him?
Why does he have to look like people?
Yeah. And why,
even if it's the wrong kind of people?
And the point that he's very proud over his heritage as a lord, like, that's only once, it doesn't matter. But it's like, why is that in there? Oh, you will call me my lord. Like, okay. But his character being so proud of, or prideful of that doesn't fit in. I don't get it.
No.
And then the one of the best lines, I don't know if it's from Dracula or if it's reworked, whatever, but when he says, "I've crossed oceans of time for you," that's when they have their one like kind of romantic interaction. It's such a Dracula line, such a gothic romance line. I've crossed oceans of time for you.
Yes.
And imagine if that was like someone going like, "I've crossed oceans of time for you," but here's, "I've crossed oceans of time for you." It's like, it doesn't work.
It doesn't have the same ring.
No, it's just like, "Oh, okay, thanks, sir."
Creep.
Yeah. Now we shall be together. Why wasn't
you need to have the actual romance in it to make that work.
Yeah, why wasn't it a whisper or like a I imagine if his voice was like an you never saw him and his voice was completely like detached from a person and you only like heard him as an echo. You never really saw him. You saw hands, sort of like in the beginning when Hutter sits down to eat. The midnight hour has struck and my servants have gone home. That whole part, we don't really see him. We see his hands, we see him walking, but then when Hutter comes into the room, he's not there, and he's over there.
Yeah.
But then they kind of, for the most
eventually they make him step into the light, and that kind of ruins the illusion.
Yeah, it should have been like an illusion almost the entire time. And then make the voice not so harsh, more like this.
More like creepy.
Yes. I'm sorry. That was obviously that's just the problem I have with it. It's not that it's that it's a wrong way to do it, but I'm just saying that's my main problem with it.
Yeah.
Sorry. We've been going on for way too long but that's my main problem.
Yeah.
That's the main
I was about
problem.
to say, we need to move on now, dude.
Everyone else in the movie, great performances. I know some people initially like, I don't know if it's because it's Lily Rose Depp and she got some flack for, what was it called? The Idol or the whatever?
Yeah. The Idol, yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, she's not very good." No,
I don't think that's
in
fair.
the beginning, I didn't really like her. But then as the movie went on, I was like, no, wait, she's great in this role. And she goes balls to the wall with it. Same thing like with the smaller roles, like Harding's wife and daughters. Didn't really have much screen time.
Emma Corrin had some, but
sure.
Yeah.
But then Nick Holt as Hutter is great, even though he kind of disappears from the movie, like he always does in the story.
Yeah.
But then and here's another thing where the whole like sticking to the thing doesn't really work because everyone speaks with an English accent. even though it takes place in Germany. Now, I'm fine with that, because I know that was a complaint some people had with the Northman, that he gave everyone like a nondescript Nordic accent. Everyone talked kind of like this. But they spoke English, because you can't make a movie in like Icelandic. No one's going to watch that. I mean, I would have loved it if the movie was in Icelandic, but
sure, but it'd also be like harder to find actors that can actually do it. It would be harder. Like no one wants to go to see something that's subtitled completely. Yeah. It's just easier to make it in English.
But then, it kind of sounds... A lot of people making I used to be an adventurer until I took an arrow to the knee. Because it sounds like Skyrim people talking. Yeah.
Which it kind of is, because that is also like a nondescript Nordic accent.
But why would you have an accent when you're speaking in your own language?
Because they're trying to emphasize that they're speaking in their own language, and it's not just American.
Then just speak English instead. Speak.
But that's the thing. You associate British English or American English to a certain place and time as well.
Yes, but that's what I want to get to. Because then they chose to... this is... in Nosferatu. They chose to just go for proper British accents for everyone.
Yes.
Partly also because it is inspired by Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is an English tale, so to speak.
Yes.
So, mixing and matching. But then you have Dr. Von Franz, who talks like he is, I don't know where country he's from, but he talks with a...
Germanic
with an
somewhere.
Somehow, yes. He talks like this, he wants to drink schnapps, and he, the vampire, and he's like very, like, almost campy. I don't mind the campiness, but why is he the only one with an accent?
With an accent.
Oh, and also,
because
Orlok.
he's not from Visberg.
Is that the, because you can't really say, because him and Orlok are the only people who speaks with an accent. You have...
And they're the only people who are not born in
Sure,
Visberg.
But the gypsies and the locals in Carpathia, they speak... I don't know, Carpathian, whatever they don't speak English. So it's okay when they do it, yes, because they're smaller roles. I get that.
Yeah.
But why...
But they're also located somewhere else, so we don't make that much of a fuss about it.
No, sure. I'm fine with that. But then why have only those two characters speak with an accent?
To make them stick out somehow. I don't know.
It was little things like that just...
I understand Orlok, I do.
Sure.
I understand his accent. That one made sense to me. The accent made sense to me, not the way he spoke. Professor von Franz, like I think they were trying to make him a foreigner, just a foreigner.
Sure.
And like, okay, so everyone else is speaking kind of British. We need to make him sound like he's from somewhere else. This is a fictional country. What sounds foreign compared to British? Germanesque!
Yeah,
sure, let's
exactly.
go with that.
German-ish. Central European, I guess.
Yeah.
We are dealing with...
And what can Willem Dafoe do? What accent can you do?
You know what he...
Kind of German, sure.
You know what he does do? A great English accent. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but he was supposed to be English,
I know. But it's the little things that brought me out of the movie. And then...
It didn't ruin it, like, at all for me. I didn't even think of it until you brought it up now. Like, in my head, it just went, yeah, sure, he's not from here.
Yeah.
That was obvious to me.
Okay. Sure.
Which is why his accent didn't match up with Count Orlok's accent. They had different accents from each other because they're still from different parts of the world.
That's true.
I think you're just... Excuse me, but I think you're just trying to find issues here.
No, that was the thing. I don't want to find issues. I wanted this to be like a 5 out of 5 for me. I want it to be a 10 out of 10.
Are you trying to justify why you don't think it's a 10 out of 10 then? By finding smaller issues that shouldn't be an issue?
No, because these are the things that make it not a 10 out of 10 for me.
So you actually reacted to him straight away?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
I mean, I knew something was off, because we've talked about this, and I mentioned it earlier in this. I knew something was off when I was pretty early on in the movie, like, kind of drifting off, like, not paying attention. I was like... We talked about this when we talked about Hitman, how I wasn't really engaged in the first half, but as soon as something interesting actually happened, I was like, zoop! Yeah. And here, I was struggling with that for the entire time. And I think that's my other big problem with this movie. It comes with the fact that this is a reimagining. I mean, yes, the Northman is also reimagining, but it's not a story that no one knows. This is a reimagining of a story that is very, very popular. It's Dracula. Yes. Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
What did it add?
Change.
What did it change? What made this different from
what we already have?
Yeah, I was waiting for it to do something different, other than just have different clothes. Yeah, but
sure, it did do some things different. Sure, they lost some details.
I'm thinking more of Nosferatu than Dracula. I said Dracula, but Nosferatu, because for me Nosferatu is the big thing.
Yeah, I don't remember Nosferatu that closely to be able to make that comparison. I guess. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. It's modernizing it without modernizing it, which is weird.
Yeah, because he wouldn't want to modernize it, but
it's like we're doing the same thing, but we have new technology, so we can just make it look better, I guess. But it's still the same thing, which is pointless, really.
Yeah, it just felt
remaster and dub it or something if you want voices.
And I know this was like a passion project for him. Since he was even before he was a filmmaker, before he made The Witch, when he was just an editor or costume designer or whatever.
I read somewhere that he worked on a school play version or something.
He made a school play of it, or a play version of it, a stage adaptation in school. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously this is a passion project for him, but that's because he's a huge fan of Nosferatu, so he just wanted to make a Nosferatu for the sense of just making it, but
for himself, basically.
Yeah. There was no point to it other than indulgence. Why do we need to retell Nosferatu now? There are reasons you could modernize it. Do a Green Knight version of it where you add all the modern thoughts about sexual abuse or toxic relationships or whatever you want to put in there. You can put a bunch of stuff in there. This was just a straight up retelling of Nosferatu. So I was just and after this he's gonna bite Hutter. And after this, he's going to be stuck in his room. And after this, he's going to find the coffin. After this, he's going to fall into the river. And after this, Ellen is going to be possessed. And after this, the rat. And I know what's going to happen. There was nothing for me
that's the issue with,
whoa,
Yeah, that's that. But that's always the issue with a remake or a reimagining or whatever you want to call it.
But here there was nothing new. At least in some remakes, that's not fair because I saw the remake first, but The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing is so different from the original The Thing from Outer Space. It's completely different.
Hey, you want to talk about remakes not being completely different? Speak no evil.
Yeah, other than
not being completely different,
but for the worse.
It's completely different.
Yeah. I just felt like there was nothing here to, other than the technical aspects, I suppose.
There was nothing new.
There was nothing new here. But let's talk then about what is actually good about the movie. We can get back to that because we've been talking about this for a long time. We gotta get to the good, because there are. We've said it. I like the movie. This is what we
still have another movie to talk about.
I think there's gonna be a separate episode, Rebecca.
Yeah, I think
for an hour now.
Might have changed.
We got stuck on Orlok for a long time.
Yeah, I know. But the technical aspects.
That's what has always been good in his movies.
Is what really works.
And that's I was never worried that was maybe it won't look good. No.
No. It looks amazing.
The cinematography is insane.
Yes.
All the costume and set design. The fact that even if you look at behind the scenes stuff, there's barely any extension of sets with blue screen or green screen. They just there are in the big cityscapes. There are obviously because they can't just recreate an entire
city,
1800s city. Yeah, but they 80% of what you see on screen is real, and it's just what's behind the fog is the rest of the city where you see in the background. That's where they painted out all the street lights and the cars and just put in horse and buggies and more people.
Sure,
but everything is real.
That's fine.
All the rats in the movies are real.
Ooh,
they had 200 or was it 2,000? No, maybe that's so much. 200 real rats on set. And they were to the point where they had a rat wrangler But it didn't really work. There was too many because they were. So instead, they just released the rats and just film them. Whatever they do, film them.
Yeah, because what else are you gonna do? And are they even sure they caught all of them afterwards?
And they have to do that. Yeah, because that's a whole animal rights thing. Yeah.
Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the same thing with all the sound, like we said. Nosferatu's voice, for all the problems I had with it, it's amazing. The way they make it booming and everything.
It vibrated into your core somehow, which obviously was post.
Yeah, of course.
But still,
I wish they did even more of that with this voice, you know. And the music, once again, there's very sparing music in the movie. It's not a lot of music.
Nothing actually comes to mind, as in not even musical stings.
No, it's very ambient in the background, but it's very fitting for the time period of the movie. Once again, which I love. And then we mentioned, the editing could have been better. I mean, the editing in general is good, but the pacing they could have tightened it up a little bit. But then, like I said, special effects. I mean, this is how movies should be made.
Oh yes,
we talked about this so much. Recently, Red One cost like $350 million to make, and it's the ugliest movie I've ever seen. And then this movie cost $50 million, a seventh of Red One, and it's one of the most gorgeous movies I've ever seen. It's up there with like Dune this year or last year, whatever. With how good it looks. Because there's care put into all the sets, care put into all the costumes. There's a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff that probably will end up on the Blu-ray if they ever release one. No, they will. But you can watch it now on YouTube. You can just search, like, Nosferatu behind-the-scenes.
Oh, yeah, true.
And there's one specifically about the costumes and all the detail they put into the costumes. It's insane.
Yeah, just this small little detail, as in I just scrolled through the trivia. Ellen's corset.
Yeah,
they made sure to make that one a fan corset,
front
that you can
lacing.
Yeah, that you can tighten yourself because she didn't have any handmaidens.
Yes, and her friend has the classic.
Yeah, because she has maidens to help her.
Wow, and that's where
that is something that other people might have overlooked.
Yeah, like no one has anyone ever heard of a front laced corset? Never.
Yes.
Okay, I haven't, but in general, when you think of a corset,
fashion, so
yeah, exactly. When you think of a corset, you think of the poor Victorian women and the angry handmaidens.
Yeah, when they put their knees or feet in the back and pulled on it till they couldn't breathe. Pirates of the Caribbean style.
Yeah, exactly. And here is first of all, what? Why is it tied in the front? I thought it was some kind of weird bondage thing. But then it's like, oh no, that's an actual thing for poor people.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Poorer people.
They realized quickly that, no one's here to help me. I'll just turn it around.
Yeah. And that's where Robert Eggers' style and commitment to realism is.
Yes, his attention to detail.
Yes. That's why if his next movie, whatever, The Werewolf or whatever, this movie, The Night that he's gonna make, I think is gonna be fucking amazing. Unless it is a fantastic story again, but I don't know. I get the feeling it isn't.
Depends on what he bases it on. Bases it on?
Whatever, you know.
You know what I mean. That was...
okay. Okay, maybe it's not... Okay, these are actually in development. It's not, because I just looked it up. Untitled Labyrinth sequel and Werewolf. Okay. But I know he has...
the Untitled...
I know he has a project that he wants to make called The Night. And I would love to see that.
Sure.
And some poor person, probably Robert Pattinson or someone, is going to have to walk around in a real suit of armor. But anyway.
I mean... He works for a long time on his project as well. Yeah. I scrolled through it here as well. I think he started working on this in 2015 or something.
Yeah, I mean, the script he's been working on for a long time. But I mean, just since his last
this
movie,
was first announced in 2015 even. So he'd worked on it before that even.
Yeah, because he was talking about, my dream project is Nosferatu.
Yeah, and I remember us talking about him taking a long time to research and write The Northman as well. He puts a lot of thought and effort into the story he wants to tell and the details he wants to put in the story and how he portrays it.
Yeah.
Sure, Doesn't always work 100%, like we've seen here.
No.
But there's no denying that he has put in a lot of work. And he is most likely happy with it, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure he is happy with it. I don't know if, just judging from like behind the scenes interviews, obviously now even more than with the Northman, they were really trying to sell the movie. Even though this has a lower budget than Northman, because Northman flopped, so they wouldn't give him a bigger budget. They'd be like, you only get $50 million this time.
This is an easier story to sell.
Yes, but what I mean is, he, like, if you listen to like old interviews with him, he's very like, before you kind of knew what he looked like, he sounds very like no, but like
a little bit.
I don't know how to explain it.
Awkward
maybe, yeah. But watching interviews he's done specifically around the press stuff with this, I don't know if he's got media training or if it's like you said,
he's actually
more excited about this because he's like, oh, this thing and oh my god, this.
No. It's media training, most of it.
Which is kind of.
I promise you.
Which is also like, I'm not saying that's like. It's not
him being a sellout.
Selling out, but it's a little bit like inauthentic. It kind of
a little bit probably
feels
but
antithetical to him and his style. But that's what.
But in today's like society and climate, you kind of have to.
Sure, but that's why I also kind of want it to be that he's just giddy over getting to make his own.
He
Nosferatu,
could be that too, to be honest. And I mean, if you compare, like you said, you said his like first interviews for his first movies. Obviously, he's gonna change in how he talks about movies. He gets to. It's a passion project. He has done this so many times now because he's been on so many interviews for his movies. Sure, obviously, there's a difference to it. But I do believe that some of it is media training because there's been
a considerable amount of money put into this.
That too, and like in the last years, there's been a lot of like critique towards people who promote their own movies or the movies they're in, that they have to act a certain way. Or it's not really like, we're not going to watch the movie because they're being bad.
Yeah, so weird. The court of public opinion, it's a gift and a curse.
Yes.
Anyway, I think we can actually wrap it up there because the technical aspects, there's nothing more to say. It is perfection.
You need to watch it to appreciate it.
Sure.
You can't really describe it.
No, yeah, that too.
But it hits the mark, 100%.
Oh yeah, definitely. Where the big problems for me lie, like I said, my main issue is I didn't like the portrayal of Nosferatu.
Yeah.
But the big problem with the movie is that it is too faithful. Almost. Yep. Me as a big fan of Nosferatu was not surprised ever by anything in the movie.
No, but that's the issue with doing something, basing something of a story that is known. Remake, sequel, whatever.
Sure.
That's the issue with what this one could almost fall under, which is brand name recognition.
Yeah.
Even though it is a story he wanted to portray, it's not like he was forced to do it, and you can't there's no passion in it. No, that's not the problem. It's just that it adds an element of people already expecting certain things.
Yeah.
Which is a detriment to a movie, really. You shouldn't expect certain things when it comes to movies, except for to be surprised and to be amazed.
Yeah.
You should know what you're walking into because it ruins the movie.
I suppose. So, what did you ultimately like? What did you think of the movie? Did you have the same? Well, we talked. You had some similar problems that I had, but I think
I could overlook them more because I don't remember the original Nosferatu as well. Because I haven't seen that one in ages. I've seen Bram Stoker's Dracula not too long ago, or Coppola's Dracula, I guess. I still appreciated this, I think, more than you did. But we did give it the same rating, 3.5.
I gave it, and I think that is the thing. I gave it like a 3.5 because I was like, what's the highest I can give it without like just being a kiss ass? And I think that's 3.5. But I also like that is also recognizing the fact that it is on all the technical aspects, and I mean the performances also, if you want to count that as a technical aspect, it is so fucking good. And just because I thought it was my displeasure with Orlok in this is so subjective. I can't really say it's bad.
No.
So
no, that's the thing though. It's not a bad movie. I still felt like something was missing, and I still can't put my finger on what I think is missing.
And that was a problem I had to. But I think, for me at least, it was all the little things, all the small things, as they sung, that kind of add up to me, like going.
I think maybe I went into it expecting a little bit more of Bram Stoker's Dracula being brought in, being more of the romance stuff.
Yeah, but it's definitely 80%.
And that doesn't show up at all?
No, it's 80% Nosferatu, 20% almost Dracula.
Yeah, I guess like 5% Dracula and 10% or 15% Eggers.
Yeah.
His own version, I suppose. But it didn't... That didn't ruin the movie. It just made me feel like something was missing.
And that's also what I'm really trying to emphasize. I did not think this was a bad movie. Nothing in this ruined it for me. It was just...
This will most likely end up in my top 10 for 2025.
Oh, yeah, because... Yeah.
If we don't see 10 other movies that are like 5 stars, which... No.
I'll say this. If we want to put this into my 2024 list, which I guess we technically could, whatever. But we won't.
Yeah, we chose not to.
It wouldn't end up in my top 10. Not even close.
That is true, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. But 2025?
But that depends on what else is released throughout the year.
Yeah, of course.
As it is now, it is definitely top 10. I mean, I've seen movies already this year.
Yeah, this year...
I've actually watched 14 movies this year so far.
New movies?
That are new for me.
2025 movies? 2025/2024?
New for me. Yes.
Okay.
I've seen 14 movies so far.
I went to a goddamn film festival, and I don't think I've seen that many new movies.
Some of them might be 2023, technically.
Oh, okay.
But, I've seen a bunch already, and none of them have been ranked above a 3, so... Except for, I guess, Strange Darling. Wait,
Strange Darling was last year.
Right lists. Yeah, exactly. No, well, yeah, but I'm counting the end of last year as well.
What?
Never mind.
This
is most likely gonna rank high in my top 10s by the end of this year. I don't have expectations for anything else.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, I've already seen 2 movies this year that is 2025 releases in Sweden that are better than this. Technically 3. No, Sing Sing is last year because it never had a Swedish release, so it's last year. But this year, I went to the Gothenburg Film Festival and saw some movies. And there I saw Presence and I saw Bird. Both I rank higher than Nosferatu so far.
Oh, okay.
Even a movie that I didn't particularly love, Beating Hearts, Amour Fou, I gave the same score as Nosferatu. So I wonder how far up on the list this is going to end. But
well, it is early in the year, so
yeah.
Very early.
It's very early. It's the end of January. But overall, we still liked it. I just think it got a little overhyped. And I mean...
That might be the biggest issue with it, that it got overhyped.
Yeah, looking at other reviews, I mean, almost every movie on Letterboxd ends up somewhere in the 3.5 to 4.0. Because there's so many... It has a 3.8. Because there's so many people voting, and there's so many different people. Every movie has either a 1 or a 10 or whatever, So most movies end up somewhere in the middle. But if you read the reviews, a lot of them are not super... They're 3.5 stars, 2.5 stars, some 5 stars.
One of the few people I actually follow and value her opinion, she was like, sorry, I just don't care. It looks great though.
Yeah, once again...
that was her review of it.
Yeah, once again, I mentioned man carrying thing or woman carrying man. In his review, he doesn't really give a score like that. I don't remember. But on Letterboxd, he gave it 3.5.
Yeah.
And I saw someone else mentioning that they were just like me. They were like, "What am I supposed to get out of this?" Other than, it looks pretty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Matt Lynch. Sorry, didn't hate this, but it's not really much of anything. Every single scene constantly and thoroughly reminded me of Dreyer or Murnau or Herzog or especially Coppola. Yeah, all of which are narratively or formally or thematically more interesting. Not sure why you'd make this movie this way. Yeah, it feels a bit derivative that way, and that's the big problem with it. It didn't add anything.
Yeah,
that's it. Still a good movie though. And if you've never seen Dracula, or it's been a long time since you saw Dracula or Nosferatu, I'm sure you're gonna fucking love it if you're a film buff. Problem is then you've probably seen one of those movies. So.
Yes.
Hey, judging it against other like big cinema releases though, oh god, much better. That way it's up there. Like, we need more movies like this. We need more small indie movies, so to speak, in IMAX, please. Yes, please. More of this, please. In that way, I love it. That might
be also like why it's bumped up a little bit in the score for me. I mean, I could have given it a lower score, but cause I don't know how much I will rewatch this like over and over.
No.
Comparing to other movies that I know I will rewatch that are small indie movies but are like blockbuster style.
Yeah.
Like there's that too as well. It's a very
the rewatch value is pretty much zero. I rewatched it once and it gave me nothing.
I might rewatch it again properly. I haven't done it yet. I just skimmed through it, which doesn't count. To like appreciate it more, I suppose. But the issue is that maybe I will just end up disliking it more if you start what's it called paying attention to details
you start
too
nitpicking.
much.
Yeah. No.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still liked it. It was a very enjoyable watch for me once I was in the theater, because as I was watching it, I didn't have any issues. It was afterwards when you started asking me, so what did you think? It was like, yeah, what did I think?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but why am I not excited?
It makes me think of Red Letter Media quote again from their Nerd Crew. Because this was like
has to be mentioned once.
It has to. I'm sorry. Their whole thing about, because this was like a blockbuster, even though it was a good blockbuster, but like a blockbuster, you were like and ooh over the whole movie until you're actually thinking about it, because as you were watching it, it's like you were dead for 90 minutes, but you were eating popcorn.
Or, in this case, you were in a trance.
Oh, yes. And on that, we'll end it.
And once you left the theater,
you got out and was like, hey, wait a minute.
Broken.
That vampire abused me. Hey, wait a minute. I didn't like that movie. Hey! Maybe that was the point all along. This was just an experiment. He made a literal vampire movie.
Maybe.
5 out of 5. If that is true, that's a 5 out of 5. He made a literal vampire movie.
It took us, an
hour and a half to figure that out.
To figure that out. But hey, maybe that's part of the trance. You're not supposed to know you're in it.
And now you get it. It's like, whoa. And then you kind of have to, like, good game, man.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. That's where we're going to end it. However, before we end it, what did you think of Nosferatu? If you've seen it, leave your thoughts below in the comments. Yes. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that stuff. We will have a full episode now on Nosferatu, and we'll also make a full episode, I guess, next week or whatever, on Strange Darling. One of our actual favorite movies of last year. But yeah, that's going to be for next week. Until then, have a good one. Bye. The Spoilercast is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It's produced and hosted by Tobias Vedén. Co-host is Rebecca Vedén. Executive producer is Annika Vedén. I also want to give a shout out to all our patrons over at patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. CK85, Christopher Billén, Daniel Gaisu, Annika Vedén, Jacob, Mom and Mac, and Laura Kinney.